Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of SpecTalk. We were just having a laugh about last week's, look at Holly go, last week's Halloween costumes. If you missed, we usually do these every 2 weeks, but we had to adjust the schedule, so it's been a week. Last week, if you weren't here, we were wearing Halloween costumes. And Alex, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the success of wearing costumes on a SpecTalk?
Well, I mean, from a, great idea. So with idea being 10, execution, I mean,
I was out of town. Sorry, I missed it.
I'd have to go per attendant, but I would have to rate myself as the lowest on that scale. So, but it was supposed to be really cool. It didn't, it was a blow up costume, and I learned some lessons around those types of costumes, let's say.
Yeah, next time I need a mustache for a costume, I'm just gonna grow one instead of try to like 3M tape it on my face. So let's get going with today's, and hopefully we'll have less wardrobe malfunctions than we did last week. So next slide, please, Alex. With you, as always, is Alex Bear, Strategic Account Executive here at RIB. Myself, Dory Azar, Licensed Architect and Strategic Account Executive here at RIB, and the familiar face of Holly Jordan from Jordan Consultants, expert spec writer and regular here. So nice to have you back, Holly. It's been a couple episodes, I think. So we'll try to go easy on you when we start out today, but no promises.
I
Next
was gonna
slide,
say
please.
that's not what you said yesterday.
No, no, no. But my mood, yeah, it could be anything. So we'll see how it goes today. Next slide, please, Alex. So first, we want to announce last week's winner of the specking contest. So it is Derwin Kiabu. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. From Architectural Design and Construction Inc. with the Hamai Appliance Inc. warehouse and showroom in Maui, Hawaii. So if maybe we need to plan a field trip to go, just make sure that this building looks as good in real life as it does in the photo. But
Absolutely.
congratulations to Derwin on that. Next slide, please, Alex. Because if you guys have a project that you've spec'd in SpecLink and want to submit it for your chance to win some SpecLink and SpecTalk swag, send the project name, firm name, owner, and location in an email to kristen.tiliakos@ribsoftware-software.com. We will put that in the comments if it's not there already. And then you can submit your project for a chance to win on the next Spec Talk. Next slide, please. So today we're going to talk about specification pitfalls, and that could be there's a lot of different things. You can see a bunch of them on the screen. We can talk about bad grammar today, old reference standards, sloppy coordination, assumptions. Holly, I get this feeling that you don't like when people make assumptions in specifications. Outdated content, for over specification. I'd love to. I can't wait till we get to that part. But we're going to tackle a bunch of different approaches or things to avoid when we are working on our specifications and putting them together. So at this time, the question section is open. The comments are open. So before we get started, I would love to hear your viewer pitfalls. So if you guys have any sort of stories or short stories or precautionary words of advice that the group could benefit from today, I would love to hear those in the comment section. So please let us know maybe a time that a silly mistake or an oversight turned into something that could have been easily avoided. Love to hear those stories. And if we can keep them concise, I'd love to share them today as well. And Jason's in the questions. Hello from Charlotte, North Carolina. That's awesome. So next slide, please. Or is there next slide? Are we diving right in now?
Yeah, I think we're going right into the software.
Fantastic. So while Alex gets us into SpecLink, I'm going to talk about a couple of things that Holly and I were chatting about yesterday, and there's a couple of pitfalls that Holly gets her geared up on. So I'm going to read the first one here, and then we can talk about that and see what the viewers are thinking and how everyone relates to this. So, Holly, the first one you said was about specifications listed in all related requirements or the body of the document that are not in the project manual. This happens all the time. You decided to use some all caps for us there. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? And Alex, maybe at the same time, you can talk to us and demonstrate, some of the section IDs, tagging, and linking? Because Holly, you were saying the contractors love to pursue RFIs on this.
So what happens is when you have specification sections and you have your related requirements, whether they are listed here in part 1, and some people don't like to list them in part 1, or whether they're listed in the body of the document, when you have these references to specification sections that are not actually in the project manual, I have seen an instance where a contractor has assigned one of their administrative staffs to only do that, only look for that. Anywhere where a spec section number and or name is listed anywhere in the spec, related requirements, or in the body of the document, they go through and they make a list and they send an RFI for each one of them saying, you referred to this, but it's not, we don't have this section. Where is this section? Okay. And I'm just going to say, really, they know good and well. Okay. But this is badly coordinated documents, and it's an opportunity for them to RFI and slow roll you. Now with SpecLink, you tag your related requirements and you tag your related sections, and you can turn that article completely off, okay? Because a lot of people like to turn this off, and you cross section link these. So anywhere where you mention section 01 or 05-1200 structural steel framing, okay, it's cross section linked, and it will activate, or it will turn yellow in your main tree and say, hey, somewhere you're talking about me, I need you to, turn it on, okay? And you can, even when you turn off the related requirements article, because a lot of people don't like to use it, even if you're mentioning section 05-1200, the structural steel framing, in the body of the document, you cross section link that as well. And so that means that it's going to also say, hey, you're talking about me somewhere, you might want to have it. So I love the fact that you can do this in SpecLink, that it takes away that coordination problem if your documents are linked and tagged correctly. The SpecLink ones are, but if you have a user section, you also need to do the same, and it will take away a lot of time and a lot of pain if you just link and tag. Was that a good answer?
It's a fantastic answer. It's like emotional support software. It's there to help prop
Yes.
you up when you need it, right?
Yes. I love this about SpecLink. It's great.
That's awesome. We have I'm going to stay on this topic for a second because Marjorie's made a comment here. And today's a day of all caps, guys. So if you're feeling the passion, we're getting a lot of all caps comments. She says that's why we don't use related requirements. There seems to be a way to choose to automatically shut these off project wide, but it doesn't
Yes.
seem to work. Can you show us how to do that and make that setting work? Thanks. So how do you feel about, while Alex is navigating to that, Alex, why don't you walk us through that and let us know what you just clicked there to get there?
Sure. So within the project file, you always have a summary info option, a tab, which I just clicked on from the, kind of zoom back out from the project file. I can come to summary info. And
Okay.
this is where we have some different options that allow you to sort of puppeteer the specification. So one of those would be include related requirements. So I can choose to unselect that, and it sort of removes that spectrum of information from your specifications altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with
And that,
Marjorie. I don't like to include those, but we have clients, institutional clients, school districts, etc., that insist that you do. But I would
okay.
prefer not to have them, but sometimes you have no choice. So
And when wouldn't you have a choice?
she who holds the checkbook rules, and the client, when the client wants something, you can you can make a recommendation to them to say, hey, this is really not standard practice, or we would prefer not to, or this is not how we typically write our specs, but it's their documents. They're the client. So,
So that's a really interesting point. I want to jump on that for a second. Quick to Alex though, Anton is asking if we can show again how to add a spec section reference. So if you could
Yeah,
quickly run back and demonstrate that for Anton, please. Thank you, Anton.
absolutely. So let's just go to any given section. Let's do roof carpentry, finished carpentry. So when you're in the part one, you can actually, so what you can do is you can actually add, there's a global term. Maybe it's a choice, I'm sorry. Let's see. Add, no, it's a global term.
You're adding a spec section. You're adding a section, a reference to a section.
Right, like adding another related requirement.
Okay, so go back. Okay, so hit choices and click your plus sign and hit section ID and include section title. Go down there and check that box. Okay, and now choose the one that you want. Okay, now take your finger and drag him over. Okay, so now you can see on the left side it's a U for user section. What you want to do is now go to your sequence manager on the left. Okay, and you're going to hit links. Okay, and you want to add a link. Okay, now you want to drag that over. Okay, and you want to link color, turn your link color yellow. Okay, you got a cross section. Now go up and find that section that you just added, 00, 11, 13. Drag your cursor. Okay, I drag. Okay, click on it. And it opened it up. Now drag sequence 000 over. Save. And it's going to ask you, go to the previous section? Yes. So now what happens is when you activate that in the document that you open, it's going to turn that section yellow because you talked about it. Did that answer your question? Say, type in yes, yay.
So we have a couple more questions rolling in. Back to the I'm losing the name that we just unclicked in the previous under summary info.
The related requirements.
The references, to turn off the references. There's a couple of comments coming in that say that that's not working for them. Do we have can we test that out? Or maybe take it a step further in the demonstration there? So to all of you, I know there's a few of you that asked, so consider that being, so there, if that's unchecked, now how can we test out that that's working for us?
Okay, so
it's off. Now, if you turn it on yourself, if you have everything on, it's going to be on. It's going to be on, but it won't automatically be on if it's not activated, or if it's linked and tagged to be activated. Doing what Alex did will turn it off. But if you have a user section that's not linked that way, linked and tagged, or if you force it to be turned on. So if he goes in and changes his mind and turns it on anyway, okay, the linking, I think the linking may not show up, but you can always override. Is I believe that may be what's going on. Otherwise, um, call our fabulous help desk friends.
What a good plug for the help desk, Holly. They are fantastic. They've saved my butt a couple times in the last couple of
Mine
days, so
too.
I'm very very grateful for them. Let's
Yeah.
jump into pitfall number two. And again, I just want to keep inviting people that if they've got their little tips and tricks or questions about how to avoid certain pitfalls from both a software perspective and just a general spec writing perspective, to throw them in the comments now. So this one by Holly included more all caps, so we know that the passion is there on how she feels about this one. Making a reference to a paragraph by article, paragraph, and sub-paragraph. If you edit the document and delete any paragraph in a word processor, then the numbering changes and the number to that paragraph will be wrong. You want to talk to us a little more about that, Holly?
So I do have clients that in the body of the document they'll say in accordance with paragraph 1.02a. Okay. Now, if Alex goes up and he deactivates paragraph 1.2a, you still have a reference there down in the body of your document. So first off, don't do it. Okay. But I have people, I have clients who that's their these are their documents and they want that. So my recommendation first and foremost is refer to the name or the information that you're referencing. Don't reference a paragraph number, because the paragraph numbers change. In a Word document, you delete something and it changes the numbering. In SpecLink, you turn something off and on and it changes it. You have your automatic paragraph numbering. So I have some clients that want that anyway. So two things that I just kind of work around. I wish Gary was here to say, "Holy, no, you're wrong." But one of the things that I do is when they have a reference by 1.02a, 1a, whatever, I make that into a choice field. Okay, so I put that number in, and then I put a blank, a fill in the blank in there. So if it changes, then you can automatically put the correct paragraph number in. Then what I do is I will link it to the paragraph. So if we're referring to a paragraph by number or we're filling in the blank of a number, I'm gonna link it. So when you're talking about that paragraph, it's gonna automatically turn that paragraph on. I'm kind of a weaselly workaround. I'm like very interested to see if anybody else what everybody else does. That's just kind of the way I kind of work around it. But I would prefer not to make references to paragraph numbering because they're not static. They always change.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, Holly. Just looking at a couple of questions here. Steve had a simple request, and maybe this is one of my favorite things about SpecLink is the
Hey,
header and
hang on.
footer.
Shout out to my friend Catherine Merrick there. She gave me a thumbs up.
Did you see
Hey,
that
girl,
pop up on the
hey.
screen?
Yeah,
See, look at, I haven't seen you smile this much, Holly, in ever, I believe is
I
the amount of
know.
time. Fantastic. Well, let's keep that rolling. Alex, can you show us? There's a question that came through about headers and footers, and I know this is one of my favorite features about SpecLink because once upon a time I used to have to update headers and footers in a word processor for large
Mm.
projects, and that, oh yeah, that's a that's an endeavor to say the least. So the question is, could you talk a bit about modifying the appearance of the header and footer for spec sections? So could we do a quick rundown of that? And I'm sure there's some specs floating around out there, Holly, that were done in a word processor that have the some serious inconsistencies section to section between their headers and footers.
That drives me nuts.
What doesn't drive you nuts, Holly? No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Um,
So Alex clicked that little, Alex, show us again what you clicked because I get a lot
Sure.
of questions. I get a lot of questions of how do you change a header? And I go, click this little button here, and then they're sheepish.
No, I understand. So it's right here. Um, two to the left of the more button. So anytime you hover over anything in SpecLink, it'll tell you what you're looking at. So this is your header footer sort of kiosk here, and you can set up headers and footers for your entire project, which would be probably 99% of what you want to do. But it does give you the option to create a section header and footer too, if it's something really unique, or maybe it's for an addenda or something like that. But usually we'll just keep it on this use header project header and footer so that it disseminates consistently through the full spec book and all of your front ends and technical sections. Um, so it's a very flexible tool. You can type in your headers and footers just like you can see right here. Um, and but we also have a pick list of different sort of keywords and global terms. So these things right here are going to, like if I choose the project ID, it's going to put the section, the project ID number, the correct project ID number in that part of the header, in the central part of the header. Versus if I do the section ID, it's going to put the actual section number, the correct section number, and allocate that to that particular um, spec section. So these keywords can be really helpful because they disseminate the right information to the right place. And you can do your footers the same sort of way. You've got, if you wanted to do the page number, you can do of and then the section page count. So it will tell you kind of the, the how far into the total, breadth or length of the specification section you're in. But everything is again global. You do have the ability to add images. You can realign the headers and footers. You can change the fonts and styles, etc., things like that. But yeah, it will be a global sort of a setup, and then that will again apply to the full spec book.
Very cool.
And
Awesome.
since the header and footer that he had was in a table, you can go down. Can you go back for me, Alex?
Mm-hmm.
You can also tab and add another line. And on the add text, he can add the name of the project, or you can add your own custom information. So you have the option of using the global terms and the keywords, or you can type in and make it your custom information as well. It's just
Hmm.
kind of tabbing over and creating another line, or it is sometimes where it says add text, it gets a little, he gets a little picky. Remember, it's a database, right? So you might need to go to the end and backspace and type it in, because sometimes if you try to like block it off and delete it, it acts up a little bit. So just keep in mind that this is a database, and so I recommend to people play with it. You're not going to break anything. If I haven't broken anything yet, you're not going to break anything.
That sounds like a challenge, Holly. Uh, so quick side note here. The incomparable Gary Christensen has just chimed in and said the header, footer, article, and video are always on the top 5 viewed weekly. So
Yep.
if you're that just seems to be something that people are interested in, which is a great feature to be able to access. Excellent. Let's this one. Is there a way to print the entire project such that you have individual PDFs of each section?
Why, yes. I just went over this with somebody yesterday, just the opposite thing. So what's most important is that you have to have a section open, one section open in order to get to the print menu. You can't be in the main tree. And if Gary's here, he can correct me, but This is what I tell people. Okay, so now that you're in an actual section, you're going to go to the little printer up there on the left. Okay, and then you can print a project, you can print a division, you can print a section, or you can print the table of contents. So you're going to go down and you're going to look at your advanced settings there, and you can advance it as a export as a single file. So that's going to export the whole thing all in one, or you can do individual sections by division or by section. Okay, so Alex, can you click on division for me?
Sure.
So here you can see you had another box appear. So you can select the division that you want. So click on one of the divisions for me. Okay, so now you can see that you can export as a single file if you click that button, or because you're printing the whole division, if you don't check that export as a single file, it will give you separate files.
That is it. I think that's the answer that we were looking for. Um, we're getting a lot of comments about the headers and footers, which is really, really cool. Ali, I didn't know this, and I was just reading. Can you change the cell proportions? Because right now I think
Yeah.
they're three even cells. So if you had a really long title or you wanted your a logo in there, do you see that a lot, Holly? Do you get asked for
Yeah.
have company logos in the
Yeah.
in
Oh,
there
we
a
have a
lot?
client who has a crazy logo. It's like all down the side of their page, and I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think you can drag just like you can drag any table, I think you can drag it over. There you go. Okay, just like any table. So
Yep.
if you have like
Yeah.
a really long project name there, then it'll.
All
That was a
right.
great question.
There's a ton of great questions today, and there's a lot of questions coming in too. So I'm sifting through those. Holly, what other? There's got to be some other pitfalls that you're. Let's talk about grammar for a second, because I believe you are a member of the grammar police. Is that
Yes,
you
I'm
are
one of
on the
those
force?
horrible people that sees a sign on an elevator and like. What's
And
most
what?
important
Hold on,
is
wait. How does that story end? You see a sign on that. What are you peeling stickers off of things, rearranging?
no,
What
I
are you
take my
doing?
pen and correct their grammar. So I'll tell you a funny story with that.
Okay.
We corrected the
That's a
sign
funny story by
on the
itself that you even do that.
well, so we corrected the grammar on the sign in the elevator, and then the next day the management people they got mad and they wrote, "Do not correct our grammars." And then we were like, "Grammars," and then we corrected it again and said, "Then learn."
Oh, that's
Oh
funny.
my
They're gonna
goodness.
send the fire
Yeah.
department after you.
Um,
I'm really bad. I'm not the only one. I know there are other spec people who do that all the time. See, Jeff Owens, he gave me a thumbs up. He does that, right?
you made laugh too. We saw Joanne's giving you the thumbs up. Um,
See,
Has anybody been stuck in an elevator?
marking up
wait, that sounds
things.
like. Have you been stuck in an elevator, Alex?
I have, yeah, in New York City, and it was with one other person who didn't speak English, so he was freaking out. We were stuck in the elevator for about an hour. The fire department had to come, and they literally had to use an axe to like pry the doors open.
How fun, an
And it
Really?
was
axe.
an
How long were
axe,
you stuck
yeah.
in
It
there
was.
for?
I think it's about an hour. But
Come
I could,
on.
I was able to talk to the, management through the intercom. But the guy again that I was with, he didn't speak English, so he was, I didn't know what to do with him. And I'm not sure exactly. I wasn't even sure what language he was speaking. But yeah, that was fun.
I have no. I'm going to knock on all wooden surfaces right now. I've never been stuck in an elevator, um, so no thanks. Holly, you've
We've
had
kind of
some
gone down a
interesting.
rabbit hole here, man.
We did. How do we get to? You're supposed to talk about grammar and specs, and now,
Well,
so
grammar and proofreading and specs is important because these are contract documents, and you know what? I care about my specs as much as our drawing people, and that's what we call them in Texas, drawing people, right? Care about their drawings. We want to make sure. I mean, people are paying money for this, so use good grammar and proofread your documents. I mean, stuff happens. I had a spec section on a table of contents. I'll just tell you that louvers and vents, okay? Y'all, it went out and it said lovers and vents, okay? And man, the architects, they like, let me have it, right? And so everybody was going around, ha ha ha, Holly, I'm a louver, not a fighter. So, it's an it's an embarrassment when you have, you know, misspelling and typos and bad grammar in your documents. You should take pride in your work and a standard of care. Use your
So
spell check. Yeah.
no, no, no. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to piggyback off that because I did a video, an Instagram video once about spelling mistakes on drawings, but some of them pass spell check. So one of them was I labeled the room pantry. I did, sorry, an employee labeled the room pantry without the R, and that passed spell check. Yeah. So that was one. There was a couple others that are escaping me, but that one jumps out at me as the one to remember. But sometimes you really get caught because the spell check goes through and everything's great, and then it's like, wait a minute, what kind of
Still need
room
to
is
check
this?
your work.
Yeah,
Still need to have good grammar.
you
Okay, and
do,
I
you
think
do.
typically spec writers are wordsmiths, and we pretty well have a pretty good grammar, and I've always been a good speller. But I mean, it's important to don't only rely on the machine. The machine is there to help us and make our lives
Mhm.
better, not completely take over, right?
Okay,
Movie reference.
guys,
Oh,
Julie has given me a great example of if you want to send over some spelling mistakes that you guys have seen in your specs, go for it because these are great conversations. Julie shares the story. I had specs typo for temporary sanitary facilities show up as temporary sanity facilities. I'm like, isn't
that's a good
everything a
one.
temporary sanity facility? That's a great one.
I think
Uh,
we need to send her some swag. That's a good one.
Oh, so I don't know. So Holly, you got any more? Like keep talking about the grammar stuff because I think it's so important, right? And it's easy to get tripped up because it's
Right,
wrong. Incorrect grammar can still be correct grammar, as we just saw with temporary sanity facilities.
right. But a misplaced comma can change the whole meaning of a document. And remember, these are contract documents, and who really do judges and attorneys, is their expertise reading drawings? No, they're wordsmith people too, and they're going to look at the specs, okay? And keep in mind that if you have bad grammar or misspellings or ambiguity in your document, the contractor is going to set somebody down to find them, and it could affect your project. So, I mean, I think it's really important to proofread your document, to take a standard of care. I take pride in my specs. No one's perfect, but you should take pride in your documents and make sure that they're grammatically correct and they have the intent that you want.
Carson
Oh, I've
has
got a
time. Oh,
question
go
for
ahead.
you
Go
here.
ahead.
So, just kind of piggybacking of see on this list here, over specification, under specification. So, our previous spec talk, we had Scott Mize, the director of architectural content here at RIB Spec Linked. But he had kind of clarified and mentioned the four C's of CSI and clearness, conciseness, correctness, completeness, and our
No
language.
nesses. No nesses. If I got CDT students on here, no nesses. Clear, correct, complete, and concise. Sorry, I got to make sure because that's a test. That could be a possible test question. There's one of my students right there giving us a thumbs up. Hey, BFF. So it's It's clear, correct, complete, and concise, right?
Okay.
Don't change the words because that's usually a potential test question. It's very important. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. But it's from your perspective with SpecLink, and I know that you've used different platforms for specifications. Any feedback on that? Because again, I see over specifications, under specifications. Maybe putting too many things in the spec that may contradict, or not putting enough information in, leaving ambiguity per se. So, just
So the
your
more
feedback
you
from
put,
SpecLink content.
the more words you put, the more someone can twist them around. You want to make sure that you say as much as you can in as few words as possible and be clear, correct, complete, and concise, right? You don't want to have a whole bunch of fluffy language in there. You don't want to have, you want to, I've seen like, I've seen like terms like user friendly or high performance or hereinbefore. That's in the CDT manual. Hereinbefore. Who uses a word like that? What does that actually mean? So you want to be really concise and you want to say what you mean and mean what you say. Did y'all hear my mother's voice come out my mouth just now?
1 second.
I think so.
Dory, are you having technical difficulties, sir?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, we lost him.
Sorry.
We lost our questionnaire man.
Yeah. So let me give you a great example of some ambiguity in a spec while he's getting himself back online. So I had someone write a summary about the location of a product in their summary section atop a nearby hillock. Okay. When I said that last time, Dory made a face at me like, what? I mean, you want to use like normal, everyday, appropriate language, okay? And one of the terms that CDT, the PDPG, the Project Delivery Method Guide for CSI, is one of the terms, and I always laugh, and it says do this to the satisfaction of the architect. And all of the spec writers get together and go, when are they ever satisfied, right? Why would you, and how can you determine, or in a workmanlike manner, okay? How can you determine what a workmanlike manner is? I mean, that's that's ambiguous and could, somebody says, no, that's not in a workmanlike manner, but who defines that? So just saying. All my pet
Holly.
peeves today. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna
Dory's
keep.
back.
Hold on. You couldn't tee me up any better for the next question. If you could eliminate one word that people don't vomit in your mouth. Hold on. If you could eliminate one word that people use often in a specification that you would just like to see obliterated, what is that word?
All.
Explain. Give me some examples.
Paint all of the doors. Paint doors. See, there are people. Ah, I see. I got to clap. Oh yeah. It's redundant and unnecessary. Okay, we're trying to say as much as we can in few words as possible and streamline our language. Don't use the word all, and I see that all the time.
Oh my God. How about Faith is chiming in with and or.
Oh, that gives a contractor a choice. Why would you give them a choice? Do this or this. Which one do you think they're going to choose? The cheapest one, right? That's unclear. Don't do. Oh man, that was a good one. Send her some swag.
We
She fired me up.
I think every so often we should just have an episode dedicated to firing Holly up, or start a
Oh,
podcast. It's called like Holly on Fire or something like that.
he knows what my number one fire up is. I went on a rant couple
And
months
yeah,
ago.
I'm not touching
You're
it
not going
today.
to go there?
No. I like you're smiling right now. Last time I said it, I saw the smoke coming out of your ears. It's like you were
Yeah.
morphing into the Incredible Hulk. I didn't like that. So, Faith is also saying incorrect word use of words drives me bonkers. Insure, assure, insure, utilize versus use. How do you feel about those, Holly?
Agree, and that's basic CDT. Everybody take your CDT exam, okay? Because those words are defined, okay? And basic CDT. And you know, I feel like a lot of times the as you go along and become more experienced, my husband always tells people, the better your writing skills are once you go down the road and get more experience, the more money you'll make. So learn the definition and the appropriate definition and the appropriate use of these types of words. I mean, insure, insure, and insure, ensure.
Mhm.
That's a big one. Okay, learn the
Okay.
learn the
Hold on, I
difference
got
between
another.
those two words.
Jamie's got another one. Ready?
Okay,
May.
hit me.
May.
Why would you give somebody a choice? May or may not? No,
Contractor may. That's like might. Hello.
right.
Right.
I might.
No, they may or may not. The only time you
Uh,
use the word may is with a capital M in the date. How about
very
that?
good. Marjorie is this this one is a great one too.
He's laughing.
As as required.
By
Just as
who?
required.
What?
Pa-
Who
paint
determines
all
what's as required?
paint all doors as required to the satisfaction of the architect. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to
they're
get you
never
like I'm just trying to
satisfied.
get your skin crawling. Hey,
That was a good
as
one.
how about as per? How do we feel about as per?
That's so ambiguous. As per what? As per who? This is all basic CDT. All of these terms that people are mentioning here, it's
Hmm.
all in the project delivery practice guide about terms not to use in specs.
Okay, I learned something about spec writing yesterday too that just never came up. Alex, can you open a section in SpecLink and go to the end of the section, please?
Sure.
I felt
Because this
really
is
bad about that, Dory.
no, it doesn't bother me at all. I just never had. So, Holly, can you explain what is correct? Like, what I'm talking about here? I know you know what I'm talking about.
So Dory had these fabulous shirts made, and they said end of section, but it said end of section on 2 lines. And
Hmm.
if you're going to take the CCS exam or your study standard spec writing, end of section is always on 1 line as per page format. Okay,
So,
I've never seen that term end of section on two lines. It's supposed to go on 1 line. Personally, I like it to be centered, and I think page format has it centered. Now that's kind of a personal page setup, but end of section is always on 1 line. And I will tell you, I was teaching CDT last week, and I was so proud. My students, we were talking about page format, and one of my students actually pointed out, hey, isn't end of section supposed to be on 1 line? And I was like, oh, gold star for the day.
yeah, right on the forehead, gold star. Um, Marjorie, God, I love Marjorie's participation in these. So Marjorie's saying CSI's manual says to use uh, gauge instead of gauge, so GAGE instead of GAUGE. And there's a couple
Yeah.
other examples here, but how do you talk to me, Holly, a little bit about the nuanced spelling of things like that?
So I think either one could be considered correct, and like that's like a hot topic that we should be like not talk about. Um, you know what I do, because people are so back and forth on that. I just abbreviate GA period just to
Okay.
get away from it.
That's clever. That's
because
a clever
because
workaround.
people, I mean, there's a lot of discussion back and forth, but I think if everybody would just use like the manual of practice or the PDPG, that might be you know
We've
might be
got a
best. But
Another
That's a hot
question from
topic.
is spelling. I know we've gotten you worked up over it for the last 45 minutes. So,
I'm a spec writer. Come on.
um, so Sarah's got a question here that says, with a city project, you have to write a general spec, not a specific product. Is using the term basis of design acceptable?
I do. When you have a basis of design. Yeah, or sometimes I like list out the manufacturers, and I have one client that wants them all listed, and then you put in parentheses out beside the manufacturer. I put design basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anton is chiming in, letting us know that when we were talking about as per being language that you might not want in a spec, and he says that as per is fine if it's followed by specifics. So
Right.
yeah, so as per what, Holly? What would you as per?
Oh, I don't know, because I don't like to use that term. I
Even
can't
with
give you an
specifics after?
example. I don't. I reword. I just use different words. It's kind of like,
Okay.
hey, do you know how to spell hors d'oeuvres? I never can remember how to spell hors d'oeuvres. It's like a weird word to me. And so whenever there's a word that I'm like uncomfortable with or can't, I just say, okay, I'll just use appetizers because I can't. You know what I mean. So like as per, I don't like to use that. So just do something else.
No.
That's what I
Uh,
do.
so I got to be
I
honest
can't
with you
spell
guys.
hors d'oeuvres. Everybody already knows I can't spell hors
It starts
d'oeuvres.
with an H. It starts with an H.
I know. Yeah.
I got to be honest. I'm reading some of the comments here, and they're hard to read because they're like grammatical things. So the sentences, you know, it's so Carolyn has said, "How about a series and comma before and colon this that and the other, or this that and the other." So okay, the question is, if you have the words this that and the other, if you're writing that out, do you put a comma after this and that? This is like a highbrow English question. So if anybody's got
So specs are written. Um, I believe SpecLink is written to, and Scott would know. He would correct me. Um, specs are written using the Chicago Manual of Style, that method. And so I would look that up. I do 1 comma 2 comma the third thing, comma, and the fourth thing. And I think that's the way. Hey Alex, if you can go to the spec section and do a checklist, I think it'll show you. So go to your document manager.
just saying the word comma lit up the question, lit up the comment
I
section here.
know, I
So
know.
the Oxford comma, this is the Oxford comma, and it is a matter of preference. Next comment says the Oxford comma should always be used in specs. The Oxford
Okay,
comma.
see, this is a hot topic. Commas are a hot
Oh,
topic. Okay, so if you add 3 or 4 things here, Alex, and we'll see. At Dory, Alex, Holly, apple, orange.
I'm gonna be a little
oh,
ADD here.
that's okay. I'm gonna. Faith, are you in Canada with me as well? Because Faith is quoting the CSC. Says the CSC in Canada says not to use as per. Instead, use in accordance with. So some standard language from across the border. My side of the border.
Okay, so can you make that a little bigger, Alex? So you can see that the spec link automatically, when you have a checklist, it will automatically put word, comma, and word. So that's the way that it's set up when you do a checklist in SpecLink. That's how they have it set up.
Those are the three most random Apple, Dory, elevator.
I know.
It's like a password.
It is like a hodgepodge of our conversations today.
It is. It is. But you
I
stuck
got
me in
it.
there with an elevator. Yeah. Oh, this is great. So the Oxford comma, I didn't know it was such big news, or big
This is a hot topic.
topic of
Even hotter than,
conversation.
yeah, hotter than Gauge and Gauge.
Oh no, nothing. No, I'm just kidding. So what was the other one? I'd have to scroll back down. It was Gauge. It was Calc. So CALK versus CAULK. And I've never seen it
Ooh,
without
that's
the
a
U.
good one.
To me, it's always
I
got. And
I
Oh,
always
what was the
spell it with a
third one?
U.
Yeah, me too. Marjorie, if you've got that third one, you could remind me of. I'm drawing a blank on it right now, and it's off the screen. Um, Faith is including samples of why the Oxford comma helps sometimes, and they're hilarious. in a,
It's a really
in a,
hot topic.
I'd like
We
to
could
thank
talk
my
for an
parents.
hour about commas.
We probably could, but we only have 10 minutes left. So, in accordance with is standard for FHWA 2. Oh, that's Mohan. Hey, Mohan, how are you? Cool. Fascia versus fascia. That was
Oh
the
yeah.
final one. So the difference being the S in fascia. I always spell it with the S. That's just how I've always done it. These are
How
all in
about
the CSIs.
superseded?
It's a mouthful. How-
Superseded with a C
yeah.
or an S?
Oh,
Yeah.
Faith always spells fascia with an S. Fascia versus
Me too.
fascia. Yeah, yeah, me too. How do we? I'm sure it's got an S in SpecLink too. I can't think of a. Uh,
I knew how SpecLink did the commas, but that's a good question.
oh,
I have
look
to
at
search for the word.
Marjorie. Marjorie dropping knowledge bombs here. Hold on. She says the right answer to this on the CCS exam is the shortest version of each word.
She's right. If you're taking that test,
So that would mean the opposite of everything that we just said that we all do.
right. But remember, I tell my CDT students that the CDT exam is the basic foundation from which you build upon and go out into the real world and do. So if you're going to take an exam, you're going to do it like the book says, and then you'll expand upon it, and if you use your personal preference or your firm's personal preference. How's that? That was a good answer, huh?
That is good. Rick is chiming in now saying, don't use gauge, Gauge. Use the numerical as inches. So instead, in lieu of 18 gauge, use 0.0478 inches.
Right.
Okay.
But people still do it. Yeah,
Hmm.
you want to get away and be more specific, but again, people still, yeah,
People. Well,
be
Make assumptions. Make
as
right.
Marjorie so beautifully summarized, SpecLink in real life don't agree with CSI.
Not always.
Yeah, not
And
always.
that's why I tell people nothing is perfect out of the box, and you should take it and you should look at it and you should customize it to your own personal preferences, right?
Hmm.
You would never drive a car off the lot and not, set your lights and to auto and set your radio station and all of that. It's a great car, but you still need to fix it. Just like SpecLink is an amazing, amazing software platform, but you still need to customize and personalize it to how you're going to use it. Yeah?
Hmm. And it's like any other drafting software too, or anything like that. It's out of the box. It's one thing, but you got to work on it and make it your own. So I think we're going to start to wrap up here, guys. Alex, is there anything else you wanted to demonstrate before we conclude today that we didn't get to?
Well, let's see. We talked about bad grammar, old reference
Hmm. A
standards,
lot.
outdated yeah, a lot. Outdated content, which of course we provide our continual streaming updates to you to keep your content up to date, reference standards, manufacturers, products, etc.
Mhm.
Let's see, ambiguity. We talked about a good bit. Over and under specified, sloppy coordination, making assumptions, not involving key stakeholders. So I think that one, we didn't maybe touch on it as much, but SpecLink's a great tool if you do need to get any stakeholders involved with a particular piece of a decision on the spec. You can simply add a comment. You can assign that to that particular stakeholder, whether they are or not a user of SpecLink, and they'll receive a notification inside of the system. I'm sorry, via email, and that'll take them directly to the certain part of the spec and sort of a view only that they can make and add their responses or kind of approvals. Um, so let's see here. We talked about not making assumptions and making assumptions. We talked about inconsistent terminology. Again, SpecLink has a great tools to help you match and mirror the correct terminology based on things like, say, the owner name The architect of record, the prime engineer, you can change that out here, and it will disseminate that wording change throughout the full spec book. So again, being a database, we're not working in disparate individual Word documents. It makes it very easy to cross our T's and dot our I's from either global terms like you're seeing here on the right, or the headers and footers that we talked about earlier, global formatting, all kinds of good, fun, cool things there. Inconsistent terminology, so that's that, and ignoring non-functional requirements. I think, Holly, I don't know if we touched on that as much. Is there anything you wanted to mention on that particular piece?
Well, I mean, these are contract documents, and everything in the specs, whether it's right or wrong, is a requirement. I'm assuming that's what you mean by saying ignoring
Yes.
non-functional requirements, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So overlooking essential non-functional aspects like the performance and security or usability. Okay, so you really need to, I mean, it's all about coordination and reviewing your documents. And I like that some of the making assumptions and ignoring requirements and sloppy coordination will go away with the ability to talk back and forth and to at people and using the comment feature. I have found that the teams that I work with really love this. And I don't know, I really think it's fun to like at somebody. I have a client who I love. I at her and then she ats me back. It's like I think it's really this takes away some of the sloppiness and the ambiguity and the you know um, and when you make a comment right on the line, it will take someone right there, and they won't feel uncomfortable with having to cursor or go through the whole document to try to find where a question or comment is.
Right.
Do you ever at somebody to go for a coffee, Holly, or go out for breakfast?
Not in the specs, no.
Right, professional documents, right? Got it. We'll keep it that way.
Right. He just poke.
Poke.
No,
Guys, we're gonna wrap up.
because it keeps a log of that, right?
But that's okay. It's building camaraderie
Is
with
it?
your client. Maybe that's a good thing. I mean, the comments don't get public or don't get issued.
They do not.
But
So
if the attorneys can ask for it.
how, Alex, if
Fine,
attorneys
we'll leave that
ask for
out.
the comments on a project, how could we export the comments to show our attorneys?
They aren't. So right now the comments are just purely.
But generating a report. I'm trying to set you up to show how we generate.
Oh, well, that's true.
comment
You
reports.
can run a report, and
Right.
that is true. And that will give you a full list of all the different comments. You can do the whole project, certain divisions, certain sections. But yeah, that'll give kind of a good overview of comments. It's good too because it shows the status. You can sort by things that have been approved already, or things that are being still be under review. Who made the comment, all those good things. So yeah, it's very robust from project management standpoint and the specification coordination.
Holly, I'm never
So,
emailing you again. I'm adding you everything. You too, Alex. Any questions I have now, I'm just going to pick some random project that we have in the database and just ask through there. Guys, this is fantastic. Just want to reiterate that we do offer all kinds of SpecLink training, whether it's you need some one-on-one or some group training. We do the 1 hour long live training. As you can see on the screen there, we do the 3 hour long live training as well. Those are available on demand as well. If you need any custom training or special sort of more specific training, you can reach out to us and we can help make arrangements for that. Also want to let you know that there's a few things. Tomorrow you will get a link, an email with a link where you can access the previous recordings for this and previous spec talks. So if you wanted to go back and relive some of that, you can. In the materials tab today, we have two things that we want to draw your attention to. One is the sustainability survey. So if your feedback is invaluable as it guides us so we can continually improve our products to better meet everybody's evolving needs. So if you want to check that out, that's in the materials as well. And there's another form in there where you can register for the next Spec Talk and also submit your project for prizes for the coming week. So if you need to get a hold of Holly Jordan, her contact info is on the screen there. And we will see you Wednesday, November 20th for our next Spec Talk. I am so excited. We have 10 seconds left. Everybody say thank you and goodbye. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. You guys are awesome. Such good conversation today. Talk to you guys soon. See ya.
I
Thanks.